John, could you share the agenda?
Absolutely. Gonna have to open that up real fast.
No, I had it open.
It won't take long.
How are you, Vijette?
I'm good. I just got new furniture in my office, and while we're waiting for longer cords, I have 3 screens, but we mixed them all up. So if I move my mouse to the left, it goes to the right screen, and I'm all confused. So I'm like, I'm just gonna move my computer a little bit. So if I looked confused, that's what's going on.
No problem. I can relate.
Yeah. How are you today?
Yeah, I am well.
Good.
Yeah. Well, should we go ahead and get started? I think we're at 1:05, so could we go ahead and call the meeting to order? And I'll do some welcome, but I think we all know each other. So we could probably forego the formalities of introductions. And then maybe just also ask if you guys have all had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting. And if so, if we have any recommendations for edits.
I don't have any recommendations for edits. I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how about would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Thanks, Kathy.
I'll second that. This is Vijette.
Thanks, Vijette. Wonderful. So we're just checking the boxes. So we'll go on to agenda item C on an update of our activities. So I'll defer over to Amber and John for that.
All right, and I'm going to defer directly to Amber.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and share the website preview. Okay, so I have updated the navigation page to include transition to elderhood. I was able to work with Emily. To get some common questions in place. So we have a guideline for the resources we are going to add. So I don't have many resources on the website as of now. I have them in a list, and I will continue to update the website in the meantime. But as of right now, these are the questions that we are working with. So if you have any comments or anything to say about that, that would be good. I also updated the survey to include more questions about the resource and how it helped them, as well as the demographic information, and I can present that as well.
Oh, good. So it's including the demographic. That's great.
So Amber, my first thought was on that one question, the other page you were on, right?
Yes.
Right there. If I click on where can I find financial assistance, does it break it down, financial assistance for utilities, food, housing, or do I just assume that when I go there, all the resources for all those categories would be listed and separated? So I'd know which ones were for utilities or, housing or whatever.
As of right now, it is not broken down in that way. It's just more of like general questions under this branch, and then you would find resources under that same branch.
Okay.
In a little bit, once we get more of the resources available, I can maybe start looking at breaking it down further or see other things that can maybe help make it more digestible.
Okay. And if I go to what does planning for retirement consist of, if you clicked on that, what would it take me to?
So all the questions within the retirement tab right now would take you to the retirement page. So it would just take you to the general page of links of all resources that would fall under any of the 4 questions as of right now.
Okay. So do you need our help in populating that information? Since we're part of this committee, would that be helpful?
Yeah, it would be very helpful. Thank you.
So I think one of the things we might want to think about, Kathy, that's such a great suggestion, is Amber, what's the best way for us to communicate that to you? Is it that you would like us just to send you over an email? How can we best communicate that to you? What's the best way for you?
I think the easiest way would be for email. I can just look through my emails and then update them that way. So yeah.
Okay. And maybe what we can also do to help Amber to be able to kind of have a thumbnail on what emails are coming from us. Maybe in the description of our email, we started out with ADDPC. And then that way, Amber, that kind of gives you a clue. Oh, this is what this is about. So it's not like in your hundreds of other emails. Maybe, would that be helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
What if we just gave it a common title, that we use just one common title? If we could think of it, because I think that's a good idea.
Maybe. Yeah.
Anything like ADDPC or elder transition or anything like that would be helpful.
Okay.
So I think maybe one of our action items as committee members is, if we know of any resources in any of these areas, to shoot them over, and contacts. And Amber, I'm confident that, or maybe what we want to do is include Yumi as we move forward with getting resources. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But it's looking really good. I wish Mary was able to see it. Yeah. That we're making progress on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things I was also thinking about as we look at these questions, oh wait, never mind. I see that I was thinking about social activities, and you've got it under everyday living, so I didn't see that right away. I love that. Okay. Okay. Amber, did you want to show us where you have updates to the survey?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up the survey right now. Okay, so right now this is what it would look like to everyone who clicks on the link. I have some questions about how helpful the guide was, how they used it, or if they have any other resources that they would want to add. And then I have the next page of demographic information that would include age, ethnicity, and county, just so we have that for our records. For right now, if you hit submit, the response goes to my email, and I set it up, and I think it will also go to the main ADDPC email. So if I need to have it sent anywhere else, just let me know, or if we're not getting that feedback, then that would also be something we need to work on.
So did you limit the response, the number of words, or characters in a response, or is it pretty wide open? So if somebody got really wordy in a response back on the survey, we would collect it all, or is it like 100 words? Whatever, I don't
As
know.
far as I know, there's no limit. I left it as long response, so I think people
Okay.
can add as much as they want.
Oh, good. Okay.
I wanted to thank you, Amber, for this. And I wanted to ask the demographic questions. And Marcy, maybe this is a question for you. Do all of these areas get all the data that we need for reporting?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, can you guys hear me? Because I'm
Yeah.
like on an email too, typing up notes. Yeah, the county is something internally we want to know, ethnicity, and
We need to delve further in the ethnicity. I'm sorry. It doesn't
Okay.
collect Hispanic. And
Oh.
yeah, so what I'll do, Amber, is there is specific stuff that there is, yeah, it's missing Hispanic, and I just want to make sure because we have to follow whatever ACL comes out with. So, and I know some of this other stuff is additional information that we want to keep, like the age in the county. I don't know if we want to have the specific gender SOGI stuff, John. That's probably your call, or we could just do a generic male, female information. And I'm just trying to think. It's there's a category for just urban or rural. And they classify that as 50,000. Anything over 50,000 population is considered urban. Anything under 50,000 is considered rural. So offhand, I couldn't tell you which counties would fall under that. So we could add additional stuff, or depending if that's just too much information and it just turns people off, we could keep it.
yeah, I think it would. But I would like to suggest if you go back up, Amber,
Yeah.
to where you say, keep going up a little bit, up. Oh, it's the one, I'm sorry, it must be farther down. I'm sorry, Amber. The next one, or back, go back.
Yeah. Sorry.
I think what's sometimes a lot easier for people is the question of how did you use this guide? If we want to know more specific information about how we use this guide, we should put boxes with like, I'm trying to think of something we would say in here. How did you use this guide? And what do you mean by that? I'm now trying to think about what kind of boxes I would put in there with responses like, how did I use this guide? Something to get me started on resources, or I was looking just at the resources or the information. You see what I mean? The question is very broad,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if it will give us any answers that will be helpful to us unless we put more specific boxes in there with what do we want to know about this when we say, how did you use this guide?
Yeah, Kathy, I'm with you. A couple examples might be a box identifying resources for myself,
Yes.
identifying resources for someone I provide care for, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then offer an open-ended response portion at the end of that list for
Yeah.
any other answers they might want to provide.
And
Okay.
I think you've done great work. I think the question, was this guide helpful for you? If you could do somewhat, totally agree, or something like that, it gives
Okay.
us a gradient on whether it really was helpful. Yes or no is like, oh yeah, 100%. And maybe it was kind of, but not really all the way,
Yeah.
Yeah, do a Likert scale.
Yeah. And do you have any feedback or questions about the document? So if I had a question and it's going to the ADDPC mailbox or you, how would you know how to respond to it? You wouldn't have an email address.
That's
So
a good
I think,
point.
Mhm.
so we need to think about how we would get back to that person,
Okay.
And I think, yeah, those were my thoughts on that.
Amber, this is Marcy. So if someone fills out the survey, there's not an email they list to be, say, contact me here. I want to be contacted. I want to speak to someone.
You could put that in.
Yeah, at the end, I do have the contact information if they want to reach out, but if we want to reach out to them, I think I will get their email when I get the response, but I could also probably add a box for if they want to add their own contact information.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
as
good.
optional. Yeah.
Yeah, something that says, yeah, please contact me. I have additional questions. And then they have to fill in their email address.
Marcy, excuse me, Marcy, going back to your question about the SOGI information, I do think we ought to put it in there. We're, just for committee members' information, we're being asked by our federal funders more and more to provide sexual orientation and gender identity information. So we probably should include a box. And of course, we always offer the prefer not to answer option for people who don't want to. But you know, it is considered by the feds to be valuable information now, and so I think we have to include it.
Okay.
So are we also thinking about asking if they have a disability or not? You know, is that something that the feds like to see now, or I don't know?
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. We should try to identify if people are using it for their own, for themselves, or for someone they provide care for.
Yeah.
Would that question go into demographic information or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So Amber, I don't even know if I'm on mute. I don't know if you can hear me because, again, I apologize. I'm not looking at the screen. So what I'll do is I will send you the ethnicity breakout so that we make sure that we have everything, and the SOGI, which is the information related to sexual orientation and gender. So I think there's three different categories. And again, the option and the feds always say there is a preference for preferred not to answer, or I don't know. So we'll make sure that those are listed in there so that someone has the option to correctly say, I really don't know, or I choose not to provide this information. And that's perfectly fine as well.
Okay.
So I'll get something to you by the end of the week to provide the clarity on those two things.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Marcy.
I have one other question related to county of residence. It seemed to me that early on that a lot of the discussion was about this site or these resources being applicable to people who might be thinking of moving to Arizona rather than people just who already live here. So I wonder if we want to amend that county of residence section to provide an other line or you know, another state or something like that, to give people the option to tell us if they don't currently live in Arizona. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I agree. Like maybe out of state resident or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I just have one other question. So, since in the demographic information, we're asking about why they're using the document, should I take out, well, wait. Should I take out the question of how they use this guide?
I think maybe where Kathy was going with that was, how did you use this guide, and then give them options.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, yeah.
Like, is it for yourself or is it a family member? But then there are some other options too, you know. I just can't think of what those options are at this minute. I just know that it's too open at times and you won't get a response. People will just move past it. So you're trying to
Yeah.
give them some easy things and things that will help us. You know, what do we want to know about this guide? Did it help people? Were they using it? Majority of the people who got on the website were using it for themselves, or the majority of the people were using it for their child or their parents, or you see what I mean? That to me is more helpful to us, because then if we get, 50% of the people are using it for their child and 50% of the people are using it for their parents, we're meeting both ends of the age spectrum here, which are really, really good information for us, I think. I think we're being helpful then.
Amber, Marcy and I can talk about this and come up with some suggestions for that section, and we can make sure that Marcy includes it in the message she sends to you with that demographic information that she's going to send later this week.
Okay.
So if that's helpful, not to say that other committee members won't also have suggestions, but I'm sure can come up with a few that we can throw in.
Okay.
That
And
sounds
Amber,
good.
you've done a really great job. We really do
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm curious, if you don't mind me asking, Amber, has Emily been helpful? And those who don't know, Emily is an undergrad intern we have working with the council this semester. So I'm just curious if she's been a benefit to you in working on this.
Yeah, she's helped me get together the common questions for the elder transition. And right now we're communicating on different resources that maybe she would know or that she can help me with.
Okay, good deal.
Also wanted John, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you finish your thought?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Amber, I was wondering too, if we might want to float those questions past Mary, just to see if she has some additional thoughts on those original kind of flagship questions that we have on there. I think that might be beneficial to get her eyes on it.
Yeah.
Okay. At least at this early stage, before we start moving forward with, populating all the resources and everything, I think that would be helpful feedback. Okay. Thank you, Amber. We appreciate you. All right. So, John, I think you're up next.
Oh, yes, I am. Well, with regard to the public health workforce development project, that is still underway. And the folks, we have actually an interim report due on October 31st to ACL on the work that's been done to date. Really, what I can report is that in addition to the focus groups that we discussed at the last meeting, there were several focus groups scheduled for the Yuma area, one in Somerton, one in La Paz County. There were additional focus groups to be taking place during September in Flagstaff and then in Phoenix and Tucson. Those focus groups, to my knowledge, have all taken place. If they adhered to the schedule they provided me, those have all taken place. I don't have the total number of participants in those focus groups, but I am expecting to get some information from the folks at Regional Center for Border Health who are conducting the program by the end of this week so that I can submit that interim report. From what I have heard, they've been very pleased with the results. They've been very pleased with the participation. I just don't have hard numbers to share right now. Over the next couple of months, once all those focus groups are done, and they should all be done by now, they will be compiling their results, doing some analysis, and then by the end of December, providing us, the council, with their report on what they discovered and their recommendations for how we should proceed in seeking policy changes related to the elder population who are beneficiaries of or clients of the public health system. So that is, I know that's kind of a nickel version of an update, but that's about what I have right now until I get the details that they're going to be providing for this interim report. I don't have a whole lot more to share.
John, I have a question about that. So will they be able to provide maybe a little Cliff Note version for the committee prior to presenting to the full council in December?
Absolutely. Yeah, I will. In fact, once I have the information that's supposed to come in this week, I'm happy to forward that on to the committee. We don't have another meeting scheduled at this point, but if we're going to have one between now and the end of December, I'll certainly be happy to provide a more detailed update at that time. But I will forward the information they share, so everybody's got that right away.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
So I believe that takes us to our next agenda item, committee purpose, goals, and vision. And this is something that I asked the question to John whenever we were talking a couple weeks ago about how I feel like perhaps, I know for me anyway, I'm part of so many groups and committees and councils and things like that. And sometimes whenever we're in these work group meetings, it's nice to reorient your brain to the purpose of what we're talking about today. So I just would like to propose and talk about and maybe put out there the idea of either at the beginning of each of our committee meetings that we reorient ourselves to the work by realigning the purpose for the System Access and Navigation Committee falls under, I believe it's goal of the 5-year ADDPC goals. It's goal number 5, and we have 3 objective items. And I know for me as a committee member, I enjoy being able to, revisit what the goal of the System Access and Navigation Committee is, and then reorient ourselves to the 3 objectives that are our responsibility. So I'm just kind of putting it out there. So for example, our goal as the System Access and Navigation Committee is we will enhance, strengthen, and expand access to accurate and user-friendly information and the services needed for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to lead more self-determined lives. And then we have our 3 objectives, and we're working on objective 1 right now. Amber's helping us do that. And then the public health initiative that John is referring to really falls nicely under our objective 2. And then thankfully, we have, another couple years to work on our objective 3. And that one is by fiscal year 2026, the council will champion and support at least 2 initiatives designed to increase Native Americans with IDDs and their families access to the information and support needed to fully participate in all aspects of community life. So that's a big objective. So my proposal is, I wanted to put it out there again for discussion. If you all feel comfortable adding that to the beginning of our agenda, that we revisit those, we can always just revisit just the goal area, but have the 3 objectives on our, in our agenda, at least written on there. We don't have to read it out loud every time, but for me, it's helpful, and just wanted to propose that to the group.
Well, this is Kathy. I think it would be good. I think it's a great reminder and helps you to stay on point. Yeah, I like that.
Kathy?
I like it too. Sorry, it took me a while to figure out where my arrow was going on my. It kept going to the wrong screen. So.
It's quite all right, Bichette.
I'm having problems apparently.
So I appreciate the discussion, and we can probably even, if we need to talk about it more, with more of the committee members, we can. But I think it's a pretty easy, low-hanging fruit action item that we could put as part of our regular agenda as we meet.
Jana, I will make sure that we include all that information on future agendas, that it is reflected as you requested. And I think perhaps, I don't want to drive Marcy crazy. I do enough of that as it is, but it seems to me this is a good opportunity in future meetings. This particular agenda item would be a good opportunity for us to discuss other things that we might do as a council or as a committee to support the notion of system access and navigation. Occasionally things come up that are not part of our annual work plan. For example, NACDD, our national association, our national membership association, has a grant from ACL it's called Bridging Disability and Aging Networks for Individuals with IDD. And it's basically a technical assistance program, but it's designed to help state collaboratives develop better infrastructure, develop better services for aging individuals who have IDD. Now, it's not part of our work plan. We're not a part of the project right now, but they've just put out a new solicitation for parties that might be interested. And so not making a commitment one way or another, but that's an example, I think, of one of the things that we might entertain as a committee, whether that's something that we as ADDPC want to take on, how we would do it, who would be involved, who we would envision collaborating with us, that kind of thing. So if you don't mind, maybe this could be the venue that we use to make those kinds of, or have those kinds of conversations at future meetings.
I love that. I think that makes sense. It aligns nicely, and it seems like that fits in that puzzle piece. Okay. Well, I think we are all in agreement. We've come to consensus. So thank you, John and Marcy, for helping us with that and helping us stay on task. So we'll go ahead and move to the next agenda item. Item E, call to the public. Don't know if we have anyone other than Amber from the public on our call, but we'll give you an opportunity. And seeing none, well, oh, Amber, do you have anything?
So about just the ADDPC or just the public in general?
Either all of the above.
Okay. I don't think I have any criticisms right now. I think everything sounds like it's going really well, and yeah.
Hey.
Oh, can I ask one thing? So if we're going to get Amber information, could we have a date that would be helpful for her, that she knows by this date we're going to try to give her information? I mean, for before the next meeting or by the end of next month. What would be a good helpful date?
If you can get it by November 10th or sooner, that'd be great.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Kathy, thank you for asking that.
And we probably should determine when we want to meet next as a committee.
Agreed. So right now, let's see. This is Tuesday, so it looks like we're the 4th Tuesday. That's going to put us right at, do we meet monthly or bi-monthly?
We've been meeting bi-monthly.
Oh, okay. So
more
that
or
would
less.
more or less. That would put us, right, December 26th. So we probably want to maybe move that up to December, like Tuesday, December 19th, perhaps. I mean, I know that's getting close, but
Would you want to do it at the same time?
this time is good for me, but I would like to defer to everyone else too to make sure it's convenient.
That works for me.
It works for me too.
John, you look like you're going to say it doesn't work for you.
I apologize. I have a medical appointment at that time on that day that has been horribly difficult to try and schedule. So I'm going to be the wrench in the works here.
No, you are not the wrench. Let's see. Let's say, what about that? The same time on December 12th.
That also works.
Does it? Okay. Kathy and Bajette, does that look like it works for you?
1 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that works for me.
It works for me.
All right. Thank you.
Sweet.
All right. I will send out a meeting invitation then for 1 p.m. on Tuesday, December 12th.
Very good. All right. Well, guys, it looks like we are right at 1:40, and you might get 20 minutes back in your day. If there's not anything else, or anyone have any other or questions they want to ask before we go. All right.
This is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just circle back to the information going to Amber? Do you need stuff going to John and myself first for review, or as John as the placeholder to ensure he captures everything and then sends it to Amber, or do you want us to just directly send stuff to Amber? John, I guess more of a question for you or Jana. How do you want us to handle this?
Well, my understanding was if we had information about resources for aging, regarding the questions, the headings that Amber's put together, that committee members would send those suggested resources directly to Amber. But I think the other pieces about demography and the questions in the survey was going to be coming from Marcy, you, and John. That was my understanding.
Okay, so the survey questions, John, I think I remember John saying that we were going to work on them together, and then John, you could send them to Amber. I'm going to put the demographics OG and the information. Again, I could send it to Amber, copy John, so I will get that to you. I just want to make sure that if you needed one of us to kind of review things, we're here to review things as they come up. But if we're tasked with doing stuff, we'll make sure we'll get that stuff to Amber by the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marcy, I probably wasn't clear with what I said. I'm thinking we can probably just send one message to Amber from us. You and I can talk about any ideas we have for those question options. And then we can include that in your message to her with the demographic information.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, Amber, we don't want you to get flooded, with your email box.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I think if we send the committee members send any kind of suggestions for resources, we agreed that we would put in the title ADDPC resources for aging. Then that way there's some consistency there too.
Right, on the subject line. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, with all of that, I think we had a super productive meeting. So do we need to make a motion to adjourn? Is that how that works?
No
No,
motion needed.
Okay, I didn't think so. Wasn't
You
sure.
have all the power, Jana.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to let you guys go and get a few minutes back in your day, and we're officially adjourned.
thank you. You guys have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
week.
Thank you.
Thank
You guys
you.
have a good week. Bye.
Everyone, bye.